Hi everyone, we are doing a mixed bag today. Actually, this is going to be my second time doing this reading. I'm going to try to do it because I hate repeating myself, but also I wanted to do it. So what I recorded in the last one was a mixed bag of predictions, but I also looked at Sarah Ferguson. I looked at Biden. I looked at Trump at the UN. I looked at several things, so I'm going to try and remember them and we will see. So firstly, the UK digital ID. If you've not signed the petition, please do sign it, should you wish to. I think a lot of people are moving on it, and I think if it does go ahead, it just shows that we aren't a democratic, we don't have a voice at all. I think there's some people that sign it believing that it is going to be their safety against the illegal IMM, but they're not realizing where their data and stuff is going. So if we really wanted to control that, then the boats that have 1,000 can be sent back. That's what I'm going to say on that. On the other thing I also said about it is there is a movement on this. So if you think of the Madeleine McCann case, I said about higher ups stopping investigation going further, finding her, even looking into it, and the movement of free and this movement, I believe, is also involved in current governing. If you think of one of their, what I get with this is order in chaos for these digital IDs. And I think that is a slogan or a statement that the free M's say. They're a movement, and I'm not saying more. So that's that. I know I said that. Sarah Ferguson is the Duchess of York. And recently an email leaked, and I think this email is from 2002. So what makes me laugh with these things is that they have it from 2002 and then they just leak it out when they decide to also cause additional distraction. Is it from the digital ID? Is it from what? I don't know, but just look into that, because they had a lot of pinnacle points to leak it. It was done after his arrest and him being sentenced. And she basically said, sorry, I had to, and you were a very good friend of mine and my family, and her reason for that is that he was going to sue her for defamation, but I don't know how that works if he's in jail. So I wanted to look at her energy, and what I was getting with her energy before I had pulled the cards, so I'm going to pull cards again, is that she is the type of person that's quite a social bug. So I was looking at her because I've never really looked at her, but at the funeral of the Duchess of Kent, I believe, recently, she was so fidgety behind everyone and talking to people and just standing sideways instead of standing in front. I've not even had any kind of monarch kind of attendance to know their protocol or even be learning it, and I know that just would not be right. Yeah, you don't stand sideways when there's going to be photographs and people leaving. And I don't know what I get with her. She married for the money and the power and the status. I think that was her reason to marry into the monarch, so I can't see that she would be a Kate. And the reason also I get with her is, or something else I get with her, is that she can be quite erratic. So she might just be like, yeah, whatever, send this email. Everything's a frenzy, just send this email. And then she thinks about what she's done. So she could be emotionally impulsive. Maybe she's got fire in her moon or something. But she's quite a balanced kind of person. She doesn't like disharmony between her relationships. And I think she might have also been someone who likes to gossip. someone who probably leaked information about the royals or got information from her daughters and all the gossip and that kind of stuff. She's obviously done charity work for children's charities, and a lot of them are dropping her off now, so she's probably going to be pissed. And we did get in the cards that she was, but not in a really sad, depressed way. There was that depression kind of side, but not in a sad, crying way, more in a depression kind of, look what I'm losing, arrogance kind of way. And what I get with her is also this pessimistic side, that I gave the example that, for example, at her wedding, she could have been like, oh, Andrew, look at the cake, you're so big, much bigger than me. And obviously he is taller, etc. But she'd be like, why am I so small? Or for example, she might have a taste of the cake and everything's so perfect, and she's marrying a royal and etc. She'd be like, this cake is horrific, this cake ruined my wedding, this cake it just got ruined, my day, my whole day, my thing. And then I looked out the window and it seemed to be, I don't know, just that kind of person that everything could be so perfect, and the odds of her marrying a royal, and she gets one stupid thing that she grabs onto. That's what I kind of get with her, but I don't really know much about her. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the cards that we get this time. So Sarah Ferguson. And then I'm going to look at Trump at the UN. We do have different cards this time. Okay, so yeah, very interesting, different cards. I get her as a person, she does like to have harmony and balance in her relationships. And probably deep in her heart, she's a good person, okay? Page of Wands tells me there is a bit of, possibly with the Fool, a bit of erratic kind of behavior, you know, not seeing the risks of something, of taking a plunge into something. That is kind of in her energy. And if she has like moon in a fire sign, I would say it's probably Aries. Here, her energy at the moment is very interesting. So we get that she is being dropped by the charities. We see that in the cards at the moment. She feels a bit like hung on this. But this Queen of Cups. I feel like this is actually a Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces who's trying to console her during this period of time. Now, something else I was getting with her is in the last reading we got the Ace of Wands, some other stuff. So I wonder if she did like the actual, not only the power, control and money, but also the sex kind of side of stuff around that individual. So that is showing up. I also mentioned in the last one when I was channeling her energy that I got that, because their relationship's very odd, isn't it? Like, they're divorced, but then it doesn't seem like they're very far from each other. And I feel like she has stuff that manipulates him. And I think that's why they've always tried to keep this balanced relationship, because of this whole secret of the ep kind of stuff and what they were involved in. And that was, he was a dear friend of theirs. I'm trying to remember what else I was saying. Also, Andrew at that funeral, it seemed like he knows that he's a scumbag, but to try and show that he's actually popular, still well loved, he's the cool, respected uncle. It seems like he tried to like open conversations, and then he would be smiling by himself like, oh, that really went down, they found it funny, and I've just planted a joke. I don't know if you saw it. I saw all this in like a 1-minute clip of where they were waiting for the cars to come and take them. And the reason I saw it was because I wanted to see Kate. And there was this whole thing about her kissing Charles, but she just actually greeted and told Charles, you know, goodbye. And when I saw that, actually, it reminded me of my predictions, where I said William was fuming about some stuff in the past couple of predictions. And if you remember in the past few predictions, I said something in Sarah's energy is, there's something with Sarah Ferguson. And even, I wasn't even reading on Sarah Ferguson, we were reading on, I think, Kate and the moving house, and then the most recent one, and I was like, Sarah Ferguson has come up again, something big in her energy. So this is what was obviously coming up. Now, I think it was the 23rd of September that Duck went to the UN to give a speech. When he went there when he was going up the escalators stopped. And then when he was going to do his speech, the teleport or the projector with his speech that's on it was not working. I guess he was with Melania. And what I was getting with that is that there was sabotage in it. Like they did this for him to end up failing and self-sabotaging in a way. Do you know when you rattle someone or you do everything and it's kind of like everything's going wrong, and then you've got a speech, everything's going wrong, etc., etc., and I can't, and then you get on stage and you're like, because everything's rattled you, worked you up. And I think they wanted that to happen. But I don't see Trump having issues with speeches. But as a human, even if you don't have issues with speeches, sometimes that kind of stuff, especially when you feel like it's done on purpose, and I do feel like he did it on purpose. He doesn't feel like it done on purpose from the teleport stage. I feel like as soon as the escalators were not working or had stopped, he felt something fishy was going on. Like, he's the president, right? They should test these things. I feel like he felt something was fishy going on, and then the teleport obviously confirmed it, but it wasn't like from the escalators he was like, oh, okay, kind of weird, and then the teleport was like, this is weird. No, he felt from the time they escalated, and he was fuming. He was fuming, I think, when he started his speech, and then he knew he had to calm down. And obviously, as Trump, he always just says stuff, like he'll give a dig, etc. And then he had to calm himself down to do his speech. It wouldn't have shown like he's furious, but I dare say that there would have been certain body language, if there's anyone body language that reads it, that indicates that he was not happy and he knew something was wrong right from the get-go of that escalator not working. I also want to tap into the UN. I feel like they're United Nothings. I don't even know if they actually attend work at that site. I felt like it was quite the energy was quite quiet. It's not Delaric, but it seems like it's empty maybe most of the time. You know what I mean? So let's pull some cards again and see. It's just fun to pull cards, see what we get. Even though I know probably people have read on it and made a massive hoo-ha. So how did he feel? This is him. Nine of Pentacles. In the first read, I've got this in reverse for their energy of, what was their intention. It seems like he was like, come on, Melania, keep going. And it seems like she also just took it in her stride and kept going. Like, it starts off with him, and it's kind of like she just kept going, like she wasn't fazed about anything. It did stop him a bit in his tracks. Like, this is where I say I think he got a bit angry, and he's like, wait a minute. But then he was like, he realized that, for example, Melania continued, or he needed to tell Melania, let's just get on with it. And I think he found strength in that, with her being there. And he went and he delivered. He went to say some stuff. He might have forgotten one little thing that he wanted to add on there, but basically whatever he had listed to say was delivered. And I believe that there was an omen looking out for him to make sure that he actually delivered the speech that he needed to say that maybe they didn't want him to say. So let's see their energy, or the energy behind this. do hope I remember everything I wanted to say. Yeah, look at this. I mean, firstly, we've got the justice. So we've got the United Nations, the home. We've got to set confusion, to set that mixed emotions in. Their energy is like that. Also, so their energy is very much, they want to be the ones that end up saying the last word on things. Also putting him in a situation where he can't see the projector and he can't make out what's right and wrong and what he should be saying. And then trying to balance out what they just did with some kind of like balanced energy of maybe an apology, or just like being quiet about it, not like fighting back, but not necessarily saying it, just coming at it in a patient kind of way if he said something to them. So I do think that they were in a combative energy. In the first read, I think I got the devil for them as well. And it was kind of like with the cards, it was like they wanted him to self-sabotage by setting these things up for him. Now, the other thing that I was... let's check on Biden. That was the last thing that I did on that reading, but we'll check on him because I think we are in the next few months. And in the last reading, I got, and for Sarah Ferguson, by the way, I got the High Priestess, keeping secrets around the SEX. So Biden is, in the first read, I got the Four of Swords, the Six of Cups, something else. And I know what I translated them all as is that he was slipping in and out of like, do you know, as they get older, they become like very childish. And it seemed like he was slipping in and out of his past. And yeah, just to watch his health. It's interesting, we don't have the same cards, but I do want to pull there's the Six of Cups when I split the deck. Now, he might have been through a period of like paranoia and overthinking, but that seems to have gone at this moment in time. We do have secrets around his health not being told. And I think at the moment it's about trying to balance his health and also balance and bring, I think his wife's trying to bring harmony. So that was interesting because the reason I pulled actually was just because I felt like maybe to see. But there is a sense that he felt, some imprisonment and some reasonable fear against something, and in these cards is what I get, and it seems like he's all holding on to something, and it could be the shame around his health, I'm not really sure, but there is something that at the moment, this present in time, we're not getting told fully about how he's doing. I don't know, has he been seen recently or not? One of the things that I mentioned that I wanted to do in this reading, but I said that I would split it when I got to the end, was I have a future vision of a city in like 150, 200 years from now. And also a vital lesson that Japan is going through or it's not quite learnt. And this lesson seems to be a lesson that we all should listen to and we all should take on. It's a very big lesson, especially with what I've said about our current times of coming together of humanity. And it just really reflected what I got with my predictions and what we've been saying. So what I'm going to do is I will try and go back to some of the things. Oh yeah, I also read, I also mentioned the Elon, I think, was it the Charlie Kirk Memorial, where Elon came and said hello to Trump. And I think Trump was a bit surprised. And Elon, I feel like when I tap into that, he was a bit wary, like, I want to do this, but I'm not sure how it's going to go. And the best time to do it is obviously when there could be cameras. But I think Duck was genuinely welcoming of him. And if you remember back, I said that there would be someone in Trump's circle that will betray him and it will really hurt him. And then after Elon come through as the person, said that Elon and Duck would make up. And I do think they would make up because they see quite a bit of like a business kind of way, but at the same time, how as a business minds they can come together to pull together. The other download that I was getting was with Elon was that I think one of his factories or a site or somewhere he's on site, something happens that looks like an accident, but I'm not sure if it's intentional. So whether it's a fire, whether it's something like that, something is happening with one of his enterprises or where he is on site. He doesn't get hurt. I also got, which I've mentioned in the past, is that, you know, I mentioned a lot of channels or there'll be smaller broadcasting, and I think he might go into kind of broadcasting or having an own broadcasting channel or something around those lines. Not becoming a podcaster, something a little bit bigger than that because of where he is, you know, not like Candace Owens or something. So I do see that. I've mentioned before that the internet as we know it is changing. I'm mentioning it again because it is going to be changing. I really do see that the difference in that. I pulled cards on. I asked for the moon card. And now I just asked for any card, and I've got it again, but I didn't get the same cards. I got the moon and something else, and I've just asked for one major arcana. I've asked for two cards to fall out, one of them to be a major arcana, about is Rachel Reeves a spy, and we get a yes again. Okay, so I just felt like that was something that I wanted to pull cards on. Don't ask me why. I want to pull cards on Tony Blair because I think Tony Blair has, you know, I was explaining like even with Duck, like when one admin or someone predecessors made a mess, you can step in, try and clear the mess, and you could be out by the end of your tenure, not run again. And then the next person who takes over has a cleaner slate, so it looks like they've done all the, you know, the success comes in at their level, but it's not actually what they've done, it's who's done before them, who created the mess before them, if that makes sense. So I wanted to pull cards on Tony Blair, who was the Labour Party Prime Minister before we have Keir Starmer in the UK. Is he an air sign? So I do get that he is very much strategy, and I think this ties in with what I wanted to mention, is that at the moment, and it's not just in the country I'm reading on, it's also, I believe, the US and a lot of countries, the legal system is getting mixed and intertwined with politics, and that is not the way a legal system should be run. And I think we need to step out of that, and I think maybe for the 2026 we'll read on this again, because I don't see it moving, but it does need to be separated. And the reason I pulled cards on Tony Blair is because I wanted to know if he was part of any of this kind of mess of the legal system. And I do get a yes here, especially when it comes down to monies, housing, jobs, resources, energy matters, governing laws, and also he was at a time of a pinnacle time of something to do with online. I'm not sure what that was, but I do think that he used in strategy certain things against the public. Now, because I don't follow politics, I don't know what he did. So if any of you know what this could be, I do get that. And we need to make sure politics and the law don't continue to be intertwined. And I think this will change, but I don't think we'll see a sign before 2026. Absolutely not. I know that recently there was something about Tylenol and autism, and I'm not saying that it's a no, but I do think that there's other elements like the effects of what the mother had when the mother is conceiving and during her pregnancy, what she might be ingesting and stuff like that, and the environment, and also possibly additives or certain stuff. And also if a baby is a bit more sensitive, certain vaccines, what I'm getting, should not be given at that age. It should be given at a different age if the baby has certain signs of cell or certain things that just show that there could be a way to, there could be a cell or some measurement that shows that the baby could be going in a certain direction. The vaccine or something around that should not be given until a later stage. I'm getting that, as opposed to things like the paracetamol. I don't know what's getting said about that, but I see loads of readings on that. I also want to say that I did say that towards the end of September, again, we're going to see a lot about the health. So a lot of stuff that we've mentioned in the predictions is correct. Radioactive foods, I think we're going to hear a lot more around the trickling of radioactive foods, or what we think is not radioactive is actually radioactive. And I don't know why I was thinking about this autism and additives. I think either Skittles is going to have something come up in the news or something around that, because they use quite a lot of additives, don't they? They're nice though. I think North America, where there's a large lake, and I want to go towards Ohio, there could be a storm, a lake overflow, a flooding. Again, this could be right now as you see this video into beginning of October or October, but I think it's likely Midwest of US. I get that. I also get Missouri for some reason. Again, Alaska, Italy, Russia, European regions, due to an earthquake around the Ring of Fire, could be affected, but they're the areas of weather. And yes, UK, some kind of storms. Again, I want to remind you that I don't think everything we're seeing with AI is out there, and a lot of it is being downplayed. I'm going to leave Japan and the future city to later. I did share that I think there could be a possibility that the US over the next decade moved to, because I was asked this and I forgot to list it, a universal healthcare system. Now, if this is like the NHS, don't do it. I don't know if it's like the NHS, but when I ask, I get a yes, there will be, but it needs some time. And I think at the moment you might see health insurance premiums in the US could increase, but they're going to balance out towards 2026, into 2026 or 2026. We have said that there is a virus, and I think it did come up in the US, that needed immediate attention in certain states in the US. New jabs across certain states or the West for childhood diseases. East direction I get for a possible earthquakes, and new info on the Air India, the Air India that was going to Gatwick is going to be coming out. I think I mentioned this, I'm not sure. I've also got here, there might be a hoax, or someone might try to spread a rumor on social media or make a statement that the US borders will close in 2026 or 2027. I believe currently, if we hear it, it's a hoax, okay? If it comes up in 2026 and first we hear of it, I'll read on it. But I do get there's a hoax around something like that. I did mention about TikTok in the last reading, and I also said that I wanted to mention that I think Jimmy would come back, but I was saving it for this one and I've got it here, that's why I'm just mentioning it. I also want to mention, I've seen people a bit confused with this 3 days of darkness, and I don't think it's being explained right, and I could be wrong about it. But this 3 days of darkness is something like the third coming or the second coming or some kind of past statement. And it's not actually in the way that I think psychics are actually saying it or what's being said. I feel like it's more along the lines of it's more like you know there's going to be blackouts. The solar energies is going to affect blackouts and black cuts. It's not like 3 days of darkness, of complete darkness on the earth, all over the earth. So I just want to say that because I think I've felt that there's some fear about this every time it's raised, and I'm not sure if it's being translated or mentioned in the right way. And I'm actually going to research what is the history or the coming of 3 dark days. So I just want to put some people to rest on that. I want to pose a question. What do you think of Erica Kirk wearing white during her speech after her husband's death and then at the memorial? Now, if you know, we read on this, and when I said about the memorial or the funeral, I said actually it would be a big matter. They're not just going to do it average or just above average. And we can see the memorial that was right. I do want a reading on channeling on schizophrenia because I think it's a very difficult period, whether the person has it or whether the person has a loved one with it. And so that is something I do want to look into in the next ones. I had a question a couple of weeks ago about, you know, because I've mentioned over the next 10 to 20 years, we will definitely be see like flying things and deliveries, etc. And someone was asking, would this be that we go in taxis flying? And yes, but it's more like a drone taxis, so self-driven drones that are going to be kind of like taxi things is what I'm probably seeing. But I don't think it's going to be I don't think it's going to be within the next 5 years, probably 5 years plus on that. What else did I mention? I'm trying to go through them, sorry. We really need to learn to let go of separation. I did mention something around borders. So what was that? What was it about borders I mentioned? Sorry, bear with me because there is some more that I've mentioned, but I can't. Why I can't seem to see them is really strange. I think we're going to be seeing, okay, from now into the first 2 weeks of October, so this bit of October as well, is that the elephant that's been in the room around a lot of things is actually going to come to light. It's information that we need to know as well. So it's not one thing, it's multiple things. So that is definitely there. There was a lot more that I mentioned. Yes. I do think we're going to have huge issues around hacking and AI. And given that we spoke about the UN, I think the UN needs to change. You know, what have they done really? And the Security Council in place was placed to keep colonies and parties in power, but we're reshaping as humanity, and that's no longer the framework we need. And so they need to change, the UN need to change, and they must for how we're changing. It's no longer like a colony. Can Spirit confirm that for me? Yeah, look. and they are not a good energy, clearly. I see NATO changing shape, so let's get a confirmation on that. Yes, but it seems like this might take a little bit of time, because I don't have a full yes, but the cards kind of indicate, I've got the Nine of Swords, something is probably not going right, and it looks like it's looking at what countries are backing them up, but also what countries seem to be investing, or so what countries are proving to be difficult and giving them proving to be difficult and actually making trouble, as opposed to the countries that are actually good allies and trying to keep peace. So I do think with the Nine of Swords and the Five of Cups, there will be something around them changing shapes. Let's see. I think the European Treaty will have some changes in the future. Very much tied with NATO countries. So we got the Queen of Pentacles when I split the deck, and we had the Five of Cups, if you saw, with the Nine of Swords. It seems like, you know, because I've got here, NATO is changing shape, European Treaty is getting changes made, and it seems like it might tie in with the different those countries that are causing trouble, and some of them that are actually allies and actually aligning with what NATO stands for and what they should be as part of NATO, while like certain countries and leaders are causing more civil unrest. What was the other things that there was, I think I've deleted it because I remember discussing a lady who so she's a client knows her, but she's not quite a friend, and she had lost a loved one, and it was like if it was just a minute late that they got there, you know, according to science and medical of what they were told. So she feels like the guilt of that, like she could have saved her loved one. And the thing is that if you're meant to go, your destiny will go. It will be your time to go, whether it's you that has an extra speed bump, whether it's you that, for example, the doctor that was on night shift was not in his office because he went to take a sneaky nap, and instead of having a sneaky nap in his office, he went to Dr. Sanjay's room because she has a massive pink fluffy chair as opposed to the black GP chair. And so it took a minute to try and find him, and that minute was the implication. So what I'm saying is the implication is because it's destined for that person to go. I also remember some of the stuff I said was validation. So like, for example, I said in August that upcoming, not in August, exactly, that there'll be a demise of an actor. And we had demise of Green, and we had demise of Robert Redford recently. And I see another actor as well. This actor, the soul is staying in place because the actor seems to be not sure where they are. There's a lot of confusion in that actor's soul and physical body on where they are and what they're doing, and that confusion is causing fear, and the soul is present with the heart to try and console this person until they're ready to also physically, mentally, emotionally just totally leave. That's very different to Ozzy Osbourne. Ozzy Osbourne, the nature I was getting with him is like, I am going, whatever you do. If you take, I don't know if he got medical help, but let's say they were trying to revive him or stop him from going for like, I don't know, 1, 2, 3 hours or so. I do get that. That was something that happened. And his soul was like, I'm out. Whatever you do, I'm gone. So I do see another demise of an actor in the next few months, and so I do think that that is there. I spoke about Farage, and I spoke about Keir, and I spoke about, you know, when one admin's made a mess and someone's trying to come in to clear it, they could be seen as that you can't see the truth that they're trying to clear it, but they're making a bigger mess until the next person or a second run in. And that's what I was saying about Duck. And I think here with Keir is once they get out, is that Farage might need to come in. So I saw a poll basically that was saying about who would you vote for, Keir, and there's one crazy percent, so someone quite off their head, Farage or Ben or Habib, and I don't know, I've never heard of Ben or Habib, I'm not into politics. Farage was in the running at first, and then it was Habib, and then it was Ben, and then it was Keir, and I can't believe Keir has any votes, but okay, what planet are you on that voted for Keir? And so when a country is going so far out, you sometimes need a bit more of an extremity to bring them back here, not so far that way, and then you can get the middle kind of ones, which I presume is Habib and Ben, and I don't know them, to kind of balance that in a more less political agenda kind of way. So I don't know what you think about that, those of you that are in politics, but sometimes that's what's needed, which means that there could be another term, if it goes to Farage, that has extremities, but maybe it's the extremities to pull it into the right direction, so that when after that there's a bit more a balanced kind of harmony state. I hope that makes sense. That was something else I was mentioning, because I also felt like around February there could be a bit of a fiasco around disability costs. And maybe a lot of paid members of Labour are going to be falling away even more. If Keir is still here by 2026, which I don't think he's going to go out before the end of the year, but I'm not sure. If you think this year is bad for him, I would advise him to step down, because the amount of scandals and horrible stuff is going to be like, today is a walk in the park for him, a comparison to 26 and 2027. So imagine if that is today is a walk in the park. It's kind of like the universe is giving him an awakening and he's not listening. And you know, when the universe gives you an awakening and you're not listening, you're going to have towers. So that's what I get with him. And I think by something about China, I think by 2020-30, I think China is going to be going through a big turning point around the communism sort of structure they have. And also, obviously, it's going to cause major disruption. But it's going to make them come a long way once that happens. I think Farage is obviously excited, motivated, but I don't think he's going to have an easy shift. I don't know where he's going to be in 2026, 2027, but I don't think he's going to necessarily have a big, easy run on the 26th, 2027. Yeah, I don't know what could be happening then. Yeah, so that's what I get. Unfortunately, I think I deleted some of my predictions after I did them. So I do think that there'll be an announcement on the restructure of the monarch coming up. And I think February 2026 is going to be very interesting. Yeah, I think it's going to be extremely interesting. Feb 2026. I think I'll leave this here, and what I'll do is anything that comes up in the next one we can share. Unfortunately, I did delete some of my notes given that I'd already covered it. But I think I've got the majority out. And what I'll do is in the next one we've got October future predictions, we've got just predictions in general, and we've got the Japan, like I said, don't think it's just related to Japan, it's a wider message, that's why I'm doing it. And the future city, some guidance just in general, psychic guidance, and then your signs for October. I did mention Celeste and David case. So David, I think that's how you say it, he's a singer, spelled D for VD or VID, and this girl Celeste. And I posed a question before I say anything. I mentioned Summer Wells as well, actually. Do you think he did this and he put her in the car? Do you think he did this and he didn't put her in the car? Do you think he didn't do it? What do you think? I'm not going to go into that further because I'd like to hear your comments. I do want to say that the family need to be held accountable for the lack of love, protection and stability, not because... I just think, what can I say? So how can I put this? David and Celeste coming together is because she was like a vulnerable person and he gave her kind of like more love and stability in a way. And I need to go into that a lot more detail, but I thought that was interesting. Summer Wells, I was going to do a reading on her, and I was thinking to do a reading, so I didn't say much. I said that we're going to hear a bit more on Summer Wells coming up in the news, and I feel like even the energy around the Nova Scotia kids, maybe the police are starting to look seriously. Where in the past, you remember in my first reading, I was like, are these a bit slow on what they do? I'm just getting a bit of an energy that they don't have the best reputation. But with Summer Wells, I think that there could be one or two people that come forward with some stuff, or it could be a sheriff that is moved to look after the case. Something comes through, but what I know is we're definitely going to hear more about the Summer Wells case. So I probably haven't covered everything. I've tried to, and if the mic is not working this time round, I'm not going to record again. I don't think I can go through that again. See you later.